Welcome to Talking Giants player profiles and projections, and today we have Sexy Dexy, Dexter Lawrence, 6'4", 342 pounds, the 23-year-old first-round pick out of Clemson. We all remember the Daniel Jones and DeAndre Baker first-round picks of 2019. Right in the middle, the meat of that sandwich was Dexter Lawrence. He's entering year three. Defenders seem to break out in year three. But it's not crazy to say with Dexter Lawrence because he's already been good. Like, he has a baseline of a really good football player. But Justin, for him to break out this year, he needs to be a game wrecker. And I think that is 100% possible for Dexter Lawrence.
I have a trivia question for you and then also just a general question. So I'll start off with the general question. Is Dexter Lawrence the best Dave Gellman draft pick of the Giants so far?
So are we talking just best player drafted or best pick?
You can give me both answers if they're both different.
Saquon Barkley is the best player he's drafted.
Okay, then best pick.
See, well, we're only considering Giants because James Bradbury, I would say, would be his best pick.
Yeah.
But people will say the defensive tackle positional value thing.
Which I think we if you've listened to us and you listened to us last year, we've kind of went away from that overall belief of, you don't want to pay your defensive tackles maybe like $20 million, except Leonard Williams, I think is an exception because he can get a lot of sacks for you. But you don't want to pay those guys, but certainly drafting those guys and getting 4 or 5 years of value out of them, that's not a bad thing, especially when you want your linebackers and defensive backs to play back. So go ahead, answer the question.
I guess so. I guess so. Who would be like competing for that?
To be determined with the, I guess, Daniel Jones and Andrew Thomas, but at least definitely out of the 2018, 2019 draft class. I even throw Saquon in there just because running back position, and you get hurt, and Saquon hasn't really been out there, and Dexter Lawrence has been out there for, I think he's started every game, he's played every game. The thing with Dexter Lawrence is, so here's the trivia question. The fact that I'm asking it probably means that you're going to know the answer, but did Dexter Lawrence play more snaps in 2019 or 2020? What year did he play more snaps in?
2019 he played 63%, 2020 he played 60%.
But 2020 he had a much better year, and he had better numbers too.
Because he's got better, because it was the second year, and he's going to get even better his third year. Anybody, I follow some people who do like film breakdowns and stuff, and whenever they watch the Giants, there's one thing that they always say. Dexter Lawrence is really good. And they start posting clips and look at this. Dexter Lawrence doesn't have bad plays. Do you remember oh my gosh, Dexter Lawrence got washed out on that player. He didn't eat that double team the correct way. Dexter Lawrence doesn't have bad plays. He's a good player. So stats. In 2020, he had 53 tackles, 4 sacks, 6 tackles for loss, 10 QB hits. In 2019, he had 38 tackles, 2.5 sacks, 3 tackles for loss. So he kind of doubled his numbers in almost every sense of the he doubled his numbers basically.
Yeah. The only thing that I want to see maybe go up a little bit more, but again, you have to take into account that he probably had less pass rushing opportunities in 2020 than in 2019. He had 16 pressures in 2020 versus 15 pressures in 2019. So, yes, I love that the sacks almost doubled themselves. The tackles for loss definitely did double themselves. What was the QB hits? I think that was only a difference of 1.
Yeah, 9 in 2019, 10 in 2020.
So, here's my theory while I'm being nitpicky with Dexter Lawrence and saying how I want it to go up. Here's my theory, and here is my path for Dexter Lawrence to break out this year. My path. The Giants are going to blitz more up front, play more man coverage on the back end. Right? You just did a film breakdown from the Pats preseason game where there was how many third downs, Patrick Graham, you kind of broke down, and how many times was he doing
4
different
with the
things?
starters, and Patriots went 1 for 4, but the one was a holding penalty on James Bradbury.
There you go. So Giants are going to be running a little bit more man coverage, and they're definitely going to be blitzing a little bit more on the front end and being more aggressive. That is going to cause quarterbacks instead of taking those 5-step drops, those big 5-step drops that maybe they would take last year because the Giants aren't blitzing that much or they don't have a talented edge room, it takes time for Leonard Williams to get back there, because that's really what you want to avoid with this Giants defense in terms of a pass rush. You want to avoid that interior line from collapsing. So if you take those 5-step drops, you're getting further away from that pocket, and then you're relying on your edge rushers. Well, this year, because they're going to be blitzing more, I think teams are going to prioritize eventually those 3-step drops and trying to get rid of the ball more quickly. Well, if the coverage is good on the back end, like it was last year, it will cause quarterbacks to hold on to the ball for longer. And if quarterbacks are taking 3-step drops, that is a clear path for guys like Dexter Lawrence to get to the quarterback. So even if he doesn't produce like a bunch of sacks, even if he doesn't even break 5 sacks, I'm expecting pressures, QB hits to go up for Dexter Lawrence this year, because that's what I'm expecting opposing offenses to try and respond to Patrick Graham blitzing more, playing more man coverage, trying to get the ball out more quickly. That's what I'm expecting, and that's the path for Dexter Lawrence to get even better this year.
And I think he's like this idea that like, oh, they got a run stuffer. It's like, yeah, is he obviously a much better run defender than pass defender? And so, the Aaron Donald from the inside? No. But like he's a good pass rusher from that defensive tackle 3 technique spot. And I think he's going to have even a bigger year as he gets better in that, for some of the reasons that you mentioned, with the blitzing, without like he played 60 and plus he played 60% of the reps, and the Dalvin Tomlinson departure should increase that. But honestly, what I think might increase it a little more, because Danny Shelton and Austin Johnson, I think, will fill Dalvin's reps. B.J. Hill departure. I know we're talking about it like, it just happened. But B.J. Hill played on a lot of pass rushing downs, and I think they're going to give that to Dexter. Now, I know that Sean Spencer and Patrick Graham wants to keep these guys fresh, so that's not a guarantee. But he should see a little bit more and more pass rushing ability. And him being that run defender is what allows these guys to get in 3rd and long. And for you be able to put him out there and have him control the run game with Leonard Williams, allows your linebackers to drop back. He should have good stats this year. Like I looked at Quentin Williams had 7 sacks and 10 tackles for a loss last year. That's kind of what I want for Dex. Maybe not the 7 sack number, but he should be getting double-digit tackles for a loss.
Yep.
Like that should be the part of the breakout. Is Dexter Lawrence is getting double-digit tackle for a loss.
20 pressures, double-digit tackles for loss. Continue to break the double-digit QB hit mark too. That's what I want. And tackles should go up too. What are you, 53 total tackles last year? I mean, that should go up too. I mean,
a lot for someone who played 60% of the reps.
That is a lot. It also helps when you only missed 2 tackles all of last year too, and those came from back-to-back games somewhat early in the year. So again, that goes to the whole point of, Dexter Lawrence is not making any glaring mistakes. Also, what I like about Dexter Lawrence too, Bobby, I saw this in the Cleveland game, saw this in the Cincinnati game, and I most notably remember it from the 2019 game against Minnesota, where he chased Dalvin Cook down on a screen. Guy's a motor. And, granted, he's not going to be JPP in 2011 running down a wide
That's something
receivers.
that Patrick Graham noticed in his first interview with the Giants. He brought up, this guy will chase down a screenplay.
Yeah, I mean, there was a play against Cincinnati last year where it was in the second quarter on a second down. There's a running back screen. Running back catches the ball, gets in a few steps, and Dexter Lawrence just chases this guy down. So Dexter Lawrence, he's going to be a smart IQ, high intelligence football player, where if there's a screen that's kind of developing on either side of the football field, and if he's nearby it, he's not necessarily just going to go chase that bait, take the bait and go after the quarterback. He's going to try and make a play on the football, which is really, really smart. And he can keep up with those guys too, which is really impressive.
Who do you think was the most productive edge rusher for the Giants in 2020?
I kind of want to say it was either O'Shane or Marcus Golden.
Kyler Fackrell, not 2019.
Oh, I totally forgot. Yeah.
2020, Kyler Fackrell.
I forgot he existed.
So Kyler Fackrell, even though he missed 4 games, he only played 47 less reps than Dexter Lawrence. They had the same amount of sacks, 4, and the same QB hits, 10. So it's like, oh, he doesn't rush the passer. It's like, well, granted, their edge group was very weak at rushing the passer.
Yeah, that's not a great comparison.
But still, he had the same amount of production, rushing the passer, as our best edge rusher.
Yep.
And Kyler Fackrell, while not great, he's not a slouch either. Honestly, the Giants should have brought him back. It's probably maybe their biggest blunder of the offseason was not bringing Kyler Fackrell back and bringing Ryan Anderson in.
Yep.
For more money than Kyler Fackrell.
And Ryan Anderson's missing the first 6 games of the year. So
yeah, because he does steroids. Which we didn't talk about that on the podcast yesterday. Anyways.
Who cares? he's going to miss 6 weeks, and he may have bought himself a roster spot by missing 6 games because the roster spot won't count for the first 6 weeks of the season. Kind of bizarre. Maybe a long con by Ryan Anderson. But
Ryan Anderson, come hang out with us for the next 6 weeks.
Yeah, long con. Not a long. Sorry. One of the best moments from last year was Dexter Lawrence running over Chad Wheeler against Seattle.
Very good moment. Very good moment. They abused Chad Wheeler. I shouldn't have said that word. I didn't mean that.
Man.
I promise you I did not mean that I promise I didn't mean that in a joking way, because that's, you know me, I like to make jokes about everything. That wasn't funny.
No.
But I'm glad that they bullied his punk ass. All right, anything else on Dexter Lawrence?
No. Root for the guys in blue.
Kid.
Root for the guys in blue. I'm only allowed to say that 2 more times this PPP season. So root for the guys in blue. We're rooting for you, Dexter Lawrence. This is probably the most likely breakout candidate and the guy that makes the most sense on this team right now, especially on this defense. So, hey.
All pro for Dexter Lawrence.
That's your prediction. I love it. Let's do it.
All pro. All right, we appreciate you guys. We'll see you next time. Until then, let's go Big Blue.